Well, good morning, everyone. We are back again. We are recapping week 5. Jed, it's just me and you today. Good morning to you.
Yeah, back to the old days. It's good to see you. Yeah, this is fun. And I was mentioned we just noticed someone. Jimmy was saying how we noticed we actually have followers, which I didn't know, and heard from folks who listen to us every week. And so, yeah, I really appreciate it and want to make sure we get as much info as we can to you.
Yeah, thank you very much. I think a lot of times the very fact that you listen each and every single week, a lot of times, Jed, you and I sit there and say, well, we're doing it for fun, but if we have no idea who's listening. So it was quite a surprise to know that there are some people out there who are listening to this.
Yeah, it's great actually. Yeah, like I said, we would do this anyway, so it's just letting people in on the conversation. And we did miss, I'll say, we were just looking at free agent pickups. We missed the conversation. We'll have to think about maybe going back to a Tuesday recording session because we missed being able to tell everyone. But obviously, everyone was going after Walker. That was the big pick.
The hard part with Tuesdays, right? Don't you have to go to the office on Tuesdays, Jed?
Yeah, well, we can work. I can work around things, but yeah, I either have to go Tuesdays or Thursdays usually. Well, I don't have to, so like I'm not going this week actually. So, but anyway, we'll figure it out because it's fun to do Mondays and Tuesdays too.
Well, before we start, I think a lot of times the very fact that you and I are doing it, there is a different element when there's a third person. I find even for myself, I'm actually moderating the conversation, making sure that you have some time to speak, Jimmy has time to speak, trying to figure out what the next story is. If it's two, I get a chance to interact with it a little bit more. It's a different dimension. I actually enjoy the moderating a little bit better, but this is actually, I enjoy the two-person at times.
Yeah, no, you're right. It is different, and kudos to you because you definitely have that skill of being able to handle either being the moderator or more participating. But you're right. There's a certain cadence to how you talk, which you just have to get used to, and it's different with 2 versus 3. But like I said, I mean, this is a throwback to when we first started. That was so fun. So
it is hard because I would say this as we start is when there's a three-person man booth and you throw an idea, but then it's on one of my slides. So now I have to quickly go over which slide was this on because you don't want to be sitting there. Okay, did that. So you're always trying to figure out where you are with everything.
Yeah, we just like to throw curveballs at you, Tommy, to keep you sure.
Oh, you're not as bad as Jimmy. Jimmy throws curveballs all the time. I say, stay on topic because my slide is coming up next.
Yes, yeah, you can get mad at him for that. That's pretty funny.
Yeah. Hey, as we start, the biggest one on the news, I do want to talk with you, Ashley, as we look at here over at week 5. The two biggest news was Travis Kelce and his 4 touchdowns and waiver wire because everybody was going crazy over waiver wire. But let's talk a little bit about Travis Kelce first.
Yeah, what a great. I saw that. I was watching the game when he got his second touchdown. I think it was in the second quarter maybe, and I told my son, I was like, man, anyone who's playing Travis Kelce this week, I feel bad for you because this guy is going to blow up. And sure enough, another 2 touchdowns. Anyone who's played fantasy for a long time, you'll remember Sean Alexander had a Monday night game where he had 6 touchdowns, and I will never forget that because I had him and was losing by like 50 some points and ended up winning that week. So if you were playing Travis Kelce this weekend, sorry for you because there's absolutely no way you could have won that.
Yeah, it is crazy. I think a lot of times Travis Kelce, he had 25 yards, but they just kept throwing to him and throwing to him and throwing to him.
Yeah, in the end zone. I mean, he was, obviously a huge red zone target. But I think that's been another interesting thing for me this year is the tight end position. And, we talked about there was a lot of tight end depth when we drafted. That's what we felt like. But the reality has been that it's really been Travis Kelce, Mark Andrews, and actually pretty much just those 2 guys, I think, that you can say clearing away the best tight ends. And then there's a pretty big drop off because Darren Waller, Kyle Pitts, they have not played out the way we thought. And so the tight end position has really been different than what we expected this year.
You did not mention Taysom Hill.
Yeah, Taysom Hill. He's a wild card. I tried to pick him up this week. I don't know if I got him. I tried to pick him up because I had a tight end.
No, he was picked up across the board. Because
of the bye weeks. This is also the first week we're hitting bye weeks. And so now you see people scrambling to fill those spots. And so, yeah, Taysom Hill, great pickup, though, if you can get him.
Yeah. Hey, look, I've been picking up Taysom Hill across the board. He got me 24 points. I came out. I was just doing some shopping, and I was in Atlanta. And I had to do some speaking engagements. I'm saying, what did Taysom Hill do? I cannot believe it.
Yeah, no, I mean, he was always interesting to me because of the dual designation. But it feels like they're starting to figure out how to use him a little bit better. So I don't know. We'll see. Yeah, this Kelsey's stat line, I didn't realize it was only 25 yards. That is just hilarious. Such low yardage, but then 4 touchdowns. I mean, that's just kind of a fluke. In some ways, it's a fluke, but I mean, Kelsey, the talent is definitely there, and Mahomes was dialed into him for sure.
Hey, look, at the same time, I actually put in a little bet, and I usually put a bet for it was $1 that Travis Kelsey would at least get a touchdown and Chiefs would win. I did a parlay, and Patrick Mahomes that he would throw for more than 285 yards. Now, at the end of the day, I got $1.65, but I did win those 2 bets.
You went from $1 to $1.65. That's pretty good. But at least you won. It's better to win than to lose.
Yes, but I did put in $1 also for the LA Raiders defense to score and for the Raiders to win. I said, you know what? I'll usually put in something. If I won, I would have gotten $21. So usually I'll just put in $1. It's a random game or a parlay, but I lost on that one.
Yeah, there's a reason you get $20 for those because they know that the odds of it happening are super low. But good for you for trying.
You know what? Clyde Edwards-Helaire came back to earth, 9 carries, 15 yards. But in terms of wide receivers, I mean, none of them really did anything. Scantling got 6 catches, 90 yards. Miko Hartman got 4 catches, 73 yards. But they're not going to catch touchdowns. It's going to be Travis Kelsey all day, or Clyde Edwards-Helaire running in for the score.
Yeah, I actually dropped Juju Smith-Schuster precisely for that reason. It is just, too low, not any consistency. You're really just hoping for him to hit with a touchdown. And on that offense, it's so spread, which we talked about that this is, Kansas City has done this on purpose, which I think is a really smart move. They've really moved away from the Tyreek Hill model and basically want to force defenses to have to cover all of their receivers, and Mahomes going to spread the ball around. It's hopefully going to pay off for them in the playoffs. We'll see, but fantasy-wise, it definitely hurts.
Yeah. On the other end, with the Las Vegas Raiders, look, Jen, I'm not sure if you were watching the game. Why in the world did they go for 2 instead of kicking an extra point to tie the game?
Yeah, no, I don't know. I'm very curious if that, haven't read any of the commentary, if that was, they all have this, they have this sheet that tells them when to go for 2 or when to go for 1. And it's all based on stats, like what are the best odds. And I'm just wondering, is there some reason that stat sheet said to do that? I can't fathom that that's true, but I don't know what the coach's explanation was, but you're right. It didn't feel right.
Jed, on the broadcast, they were saying the only reason they would have gone for 2, according to the stat sheet, the defense was giving up so much yardage. Kansas City was not playing the best defense. So the stat sheet said, go for 2. You have a pretty good chance to go for 2.
Yeah, I mean, still, it does seem, that's a tricky one. But I kind of see probably the other piece they were thinking about is playing home versus away. Like you're supposed to take more chances when you're playing away. And so maybe that's what they were thinking is just go for the win. But yeah, that was a tough one.
One guy who has really done well, Josh Jacobs, was not even present week 1. But in the last couple of weeks, I mean, he had 21 carries, 154 yards. Last week, he had 28 carries, 144 yards, a total of 3 touchdowns in the last 2 weeks. He's been nothing short of amazing.
Yeah, I mean, the Raiders and Devontae Adams, too, had a pretty good game. I think did he have 2 touchdowns in that game, too?
Yeah, 2 touchdowns, 124 yards.
Yeah, exactly. So they have finally starting to see. Darren Waller is the guy who, I think he went out with a concussion or he got hurt, or a hamstring. He pulled his hamstring, I think, pretty early on. But yeah, if you stuck with Jacobs, good for you. Same with Adams. And again, those guys, you drafted pretty high, so you might have stashed them on your bench, but obviously can be playing them now. It feels like the Raiders are weird. 1-4 feels like they have found their offense a little bit, but still not getting the win. But you got to think it's going to come. It's going to come eventually.
Speaking of Devontae Adams, league office will turn attention to Devontae Adams' situation on Wednesday for pushing a photographer on the ground. I think out of frustration because they lost. The only thing is there's a good chance he may get suspended for the game.
Yeah, I saw that. It looked pretty bad. If you saw the video, I mean, he's just walking along and the photographer's there and he clearly was frustrated and just knocked him over. It wasn't like he tackled him, but he did just kind of push him. And yeah, he probably, I don't know, it'll be interesting to see if he gets suspended for that, maybe. They were kind of juxtaposing it with there was another I think there was like someone who ran on the field and got tackled, and that person is trying to sue because, yep, there you go, look at that, who got a concussion. But they were saying how that one was a different situation because the fan put themselves in that situation.
Oh, that guy is saying that he had a concussion, he hurt himself. Look, you deserve it.
Yep.
There is no reason you should be on the field. So if you got tackled, it's up to you.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think he has a leg to stand on legally, but still pretty funny to me when you see these guys run out there and they just get smacked down.
Now, after that, Jet, I have no idea why in the world you're going to go run out on the field because you know you're going to jail for this. So what's the point? And you're going to be ridiculed on national TV for this.
Well, I guess we don't know. I mean, we don't know the situation. Maybe he got paid. Maybe like, I don't know. Usually there's this guy seemed like he just did it, but usually, oh, he's a protester. That's what it was.
Yeah.
So he was protesting something.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, usually they just figure that the attention that they get is worth whatever the cost, right? Like if someone was going to offer you $1 million, Tommy, to run on the field, you're telling me you wouldn't do it?
Yeah, that's true.
So yeah, I would do it.
Hey, look, I do it with my shirt off, all right?
Oh, there you go. Any advertisers out there who need a Tommy running without his shirt on, $1 million, that's the number.
And you could paint my body as any color that you want. I'll take care of it.
That's pretty good.
Hey, speaking of that, I know a lot of times we're going to talk waiver wire, but there is one waiver wire that stuck out for so many of us. Did you get your hand on that particular player here, Jed?
Yeah, we were talking about Kenny Walker, the backup for Seattle with Rashard Penny. The news came out pretty quick that he's out for the year. And so Kenny Walker came in and played very well. I think had 80 some yards and a touchdown, looked really spry. And so he was a popular pickup. So I'm in 4 leagues. I tried to get him across all 4 leagues. I only got him in 1, but I did get him in 1. So I'm very happy about that. But we were just talking about, we saw waiver wires as high as $84. So people were basically emptying the bank to get this guy. And you know what? I think it's a smart move. I mean, this is a true like plug and play starter. You can just put him in. We'll see, if he's hopefully top 15, maybe top 20 at the worst as far as running backs, which that's very solid to get a starting running back off of the waiver wires is a really good find.
Usually what you'll see on the waiver wire is a Pachenko. You're going to see a Mark Ingram. You're going to see a Justice Hill. You're going to see, look, Marlon Mack, we're talking. They just signed Tevin Coleman to back up Jeff Wilson. You're going to see all those guys. They're not as good, but suddenly rarely do you see someone like that rookie Walker who could literally be the number 1 running back next year or for the foreseeable future.
Yeah, exactly. Especially in your keeper leagues, that he was definitely worth, emptying the bank for. So we'll have to just see though. And, I would say for those of you who are still looking for running backs, don't, there's still going to be some changes, especially because of injuries. There's still going to be backups. I'll just say, for example, I played Travis Etienne this weekend and he played really well. He had 12 points, had 71 receiving yards. I feel like they're starting to figure out how to use him in conjunction with James Robinson. So there's still, things to be had. There will be another situation like this, but this was the first one in 5 weeks we had where everyone was really trying to get this guy.
And who knows, a lot of times if you did not get Kenny Walker, there's Mike Boone that's sitting out there. He's the backup to Melvin Gordon. With Melvin Gordon, his inefficiency, his drops, his fumbles, whatever it is, you could easily pick them Mike Boone. Now we got word that Russell Wilson has some rib damage. So will they be running a little bit more? Will he be running more? Probably not. So the running game is going to be very important.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And, it's funny. We were talking last week about what's wrong with Russell Wilson because, we were just talking about how he looks so bad this year. And then, of course, it comes out that he has an injury. It's funny. We didn't think about that last week. We should have maybe even assumed that. But, yeah, I agree with you. They're going to have to be cautious, and definitely the running game should increase. If you've got a Cortland Sutton or a Jerry Jeudy, I think Sutton should be still okay. Jerry Jeudy is the one who I think maybe is going to, drop down a bit.
Yep. This is minor news, but at the same time, it does say something else. 49ers released Marlon Mack. They ended up signing Tevin Coleman, who was formerly on their team. But more so, Jeff Wilson is he the running back to own even after Elijah Mitchell comes back?
You know, he's been good. I've been playing him and he's been getting me 14, 15, 16
Yeah, yep,
points. And so he's
yep.
been pretty solid. Honestly, I don't know because coming back from injury, you got to feel like they're going to ease him in a little bit. So I'm still going to be playing him even that first week back. But we'll just have to see how it plays out because he's looked awfully good.
Yeah. Hey, Jeff Wilson, I was watching him on Red Zone. They were showing a lot 49ers game. He was doing very, very well.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, he's definitely the skill set is there. And as we've always said, 49ers, the run game, there's always going to be points there. So we'll see. Hopefully it doesn't turn into a timeshare because if it does, then that's going to weaken both of their values.
Speaking of players, Dameon Pierce, he is the new Anthony Thomas for Lovie Smith here.
Yeah, I was just looking. I don't know if you saw Dameon Pierce. I think he's either top number 5 or number 6 in total rushing yards through the first 5 weeks. We talked about this, so I hope anyone was paying attention. Dameon Pierce, we said get him, but then wait, because remember the first 2 weeks they barely used him, and everyone was a little bit worried. But sure enough, starting week 3, his carries increased, and then they went full out in the last 2 weeks. This guy has looked great, and so you've got a true workhorse, especially in keeper leagues. This is someone you want to have.
I'm very happy I have him in my keeper league. I was very annoyed that Jimmy offered me Kyle Pitts. He wanted to trade for Kyle Pitts and would offer me Dameon Pierce. I said no. Boy, am I regretting that one right now.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I was just thinking about our trade for Cam Akers and that flip that worked out for you. It was Cam Akers and Miles Sanders, like that actually worked out for you. So, sometimes the best trades are the ones that don't go through for you. And you just never know how it's going to pull out.
Yeah. Just so you know, the Houston Texans are on bye this particular week. Hey, here's an interesting one. Did you see this? Conflict emerges with the fire and Matt Rule.
No, I didn't see that it was the Bills. I did see that there was chatter of trade, but I didn't see that it was the Bills. My goodness, that would be gangbusters for McCaffrey if that actually happened.
Yeah, if he went in now, if he could get it for like a 3rd, 4th round pick, that actually might be good for someone as good as Christian McCaffrey.
Oh, yeah. And in that Bills offense, he would be such a good fit. I mean, they know how to spread the ball and they've never had, we've been waiting for, Singletary, like one of the guys to really step up as the running back. And it just hasn't happened. Moss is there, but with McCaffrey, that would be your true, 3-down back. That would be really nice.
Look, Matt Rule got fired. Steve Wilkes is now the head coach of the Panthers, but Baker Mayfield is out with a high ankle sprain. So in will come Sam Darnold. I mean, they've been terrible. I mean, even Christian McCaffrey, 14 carries, 54 yards. But other than that, DJ Moore, 4 receptions, 59 yards. Robbie Anderson, he has completely disappeared. 1 catch, 30 yards.
Yeah, no, it's not been what everyone was hoping with Baker Mayfield that things would turn around a little bit, but you're not seeing it. So yeah, this is a tough situation if you own any of the Panthers. Maybe have to bench those guys, especially with Darnold coming in. I mean, I think Darnold is not honestly is not that far of a drop off from Baker Mayfield, but DJ Moore has not been producing at the level we're used to. So
yeah, agreed. This is the firing owner David Pepperson's loss intensity from Panthers in Sunday's loss. They also fired their special teams coach as well as their defensive coordinator as well too.
And they're playing the Rams this week, so actually that's the biggest spread. They're 10.5 points against the Rams. You might take the Rams on that one because the Rams just lost to the Cowboys, so they're going to be looking to, play well, and so I could see them crushing the Panthers.
Yeah. Hey, here's one game. Wow, did they get beat by the Buffalo Bills? Pittsburgh Steelers, we were looking at Kenny Pickett. He did throw for 327 yards. The best person who benefited the most, Pickens at 83 yards. But Najee Harris, 11 carries, 20 yards, no touchdowns. He really is struggling.
Yeah, so this was, okay, so I think the 2 storylines here, Pickens for sure. Like we talked about Pickens. I actually played him in 2 of my leagues, did very well, got what we were hoping. And remember, we saw in the preseason that Pickett and Pickens had this connection, and we wanted to see if that would continue, in the regular season, and it did. So if you've got George Pickens, definitely he is playable now. Be putting him in. The other person, though, and it's too bad that Jimmy's not here because we had this conversation last week, was Gabe Davis. he went off for 171 yards and 2 touchdowns. That was only 3 receptions, but if you saw, he had that one beautiful, almost one-handed catch right down the middle, that long bomb. But to me, this really solidifies him, as the second guy, the number 2 to own in Buffalo.
Oh, yeah. Gabe Davis. I mean, he had a couple quiet weeks coming back from injury. He was so good, and I was so happy. Now, at the same time, in my keeper league, I'm still 0-4 because I didn't play Taysom Hill. I was so mad at myself for not playing Taysom Hill. I played Gerald Everett. So I was a little peeved at myself. I could have won my first game. But with that said, the Pittsburgh Steelers, hey, look, you know what? I mean, if you're needing a quarterback, if you have Aaron Rodgers and you're trying to figure out Geno Smith is out there and you have Kenny Pickett out there, they may be better played than Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah. And you know what? Again, with the bye weeks, you're going to see a lot more dropping and picking up quarterbacks, and there's going to be people in your league. So I had someone who I just saw drop Matt Stafford in one league. So there's just Kirk Cousins has been dropped in a lot of leagues. There's definitely some options there to kind of get you through. Just take a look.
For some of you guys are playing Jared Goff. He has a bye week this week, so there's going to be a lot of moving parts. So take a look at your waiver wire. Also, especially on the Yahoo, you can see percentage rostered. See who are some of the popular players that have now been dropped. Let's say, for instance, you see Allen Robinson has been dropped. Are you going to take a chance on him? Moody is out there. Are you going to take a chance on him? Dalton Schultz, Darnell, all those guys will be out there.
Yeah, which is why I like Yahoo better than ESPN. On ESPN, I cannot figure out how to find, percentage owned, the number of ads, the number of drops. On Yahoo, it is so easy. And that is definitely something you need to be paying attention to, on the waiver wires.
Jed, just so you know, for ESPN, they put it all, there's a subcategory called roster. So now Yahoo puts everything on one platform.
Yeah.
Over at ESPN, you have to manually go into certain subcategories.
See, I don't like that. This doesn't make any sense.
Yep. So, all right, let's Damian Harris to miss multiple. Hey, look, I will be saddened when any player misses a game. I'm actually excited because Ramondre Stevenson, the primary ball carrier. Let's see what he does.
Yeah, exactly. We've been talking about Stevenson for some time. So this is the opportunity, hopefully he takes full advantage. I was just trying to quickly look to see who is New England playing this week, or are they off? They're playing the Browns. Oh, that's going to be interesting. Browns have a pretty good rushing defense, and they're playing at Cleveland. But still, this is the opportunity for Stevenson. Oh, and there's a little bit of a controversy with the quarterback. I don't know if you picked up on that. The owner said that they really liked, is it Zappy? Is that how you pronounce his name?
Yep.
They really liked him, and so they're talking about it. We've got actually a couple quarterback controversies here. You got Mac Jones and Zappy, and then you got in Dallas, you got who's it? Dak Prescott coming back, although Rush has won however many games he's won now. So it'll be interesting to see who plays out, but Zappy played okay. But either way, you're going to see them lean on the running game. And so this should be an opportunity for Ramondre Stevenson to step up.
Jed, in the next series, I have a whole section just on quarterbacks. That's been very popular at one point. But Ramondre Stevenson, I am looking forward to see how well he does. 161 yards, no touchdowns, but man, Jacoby Myers had 7 catches, 111 yards. Look, I'm going to go out on a limb, Jed. They found their next Tom Brady.
Yeah, maybe, he definitely looked good. Zappy, I was watching the first game when he came in, and I was shocked at how poised he looked. Like, he just didn't look like he was nervous. He was handling the blitz. They instantly started blitzing him. I remember it was like 2 or 3 straight plays, and he just handled it fine. Like, he looked like Brady. You know how Brady doesn't – actually, Brady – he looks calm in there until he takes the first hit. Like Brady, after he takes the first hit, then he gets happy feet and he looks a little. But up until then, he always looks totally poised, and in control. And Zappy looked the same.
Doesn't it seem like a lot of times for Bill Belichick teams, first-round draft picks, he always seems to mess up on those things. He just never Tony Michelle. When it comes down to 6th, 7th round draft picks, he does really well with those guys.
Oh yeah, no. It's not only first round picks, it's first round wide receivers. When you look at the wide receivers, they have missed on 6 or 7 straight wide receivers. There's something wrong with their wide receiver evaluation. But you're right. In the third, fourth, fifth, man, they find incredible finds, which is a credit to their scouting and their coaching. I think, they coach it up after once they get them. So
let's quickly go over a bunch of different quarterback news before I want to pick your brain on a couple of things. Frank Wright, my evaluation comfort with Matt Ryan is very, very high. Look, at the same time, Michael Pittman has not been doing well for him. Alex Pierce, watch out for that man, right?
Yeah, and you know what? I actually sat Pittman the last 2 weeks, which is funny when I think back to in our keeper league draft, how it was a fight between Tyreek Hill and Pittman, and I ended up getting Hill over Pittman. And boy, am I so glad I did that, because Pittman has really dropped to really a wide receiver 2, not a 1, maybe even a wide receiver 3. And yeah, you got to look at Pierce. But even with Pierce, I'm just surprised that the Colts' passing offense is not as good as we were hoping. I think maybe Ryan will figure it out more towards the second half, but he has not been the guy that, we were hoping for. They're playing the Jacksonville Jaguars. It's in Indianapolis this week, but man, that Jacksonville team is good. Indianapolis is a 2.5-point favorite. I think I might take Jacksonville in that game.
But speaking with Jacksonville, Christian Kirk has not done anything in the last 2 weeks. I need Christian Kirk to have another big game this week. That's what I'm hoping for.
Yeah, I could see it. I could see it here. The Colts' rush defense, I think, is a little bit better than their pass defense. So maybe the Jags will throw it a little bit more. But they have definitely found something with their ground game. With, James Robinson and Travis Etienne. They've been moving pretty well. And so, yeah, we'll see. I would expect Kirk to come back.
Yep. Russell Wilson should be ready to play Monday night. We don't know how he is, but it will be a shoulder injury, rotator cuff, that he will have to deal with for the rest of the season.
Yeah, and they're playing the Chargers. That is not going to be an easy game. The Chargers are 5-point favorites. It's in Los Angeles. Man, I would be worried for Russell. I feel like this could be another chance to re-injure it.
Yeah, and so a lot of times pay attention to their running backs on the San Diego side. Hey, who knows if Keenan Allen will come back for the hamstring? Mike Williams, as well as, Austin Eckler. Boy, has he been good. He started out slow, but he's been very, very good.
Yeah, I hope you stuck with him. That's exactly I had him in one league. First 3 weeks was just not good. And then the last 2 weeks, he has really blown up. And so that's a good sign. I'll also say Mike Williams, we talked about at the beginning of the year. Some people weren't sure if he could be the true number 1, if he was a number 2. He's clearly the number 1. It's been really paid out well.
Yeah. And even though Gerald Everett had a bad game, if you need a tight end, there's no one better. I mean, a lot of times Will Dissly is pretty good, but Gerald Everett is actually good, very, very good, and had a bunch of different good games this season.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Baker Mayfield, we talked about that. Carson Wentz, boy, coming on this Thursday night game, Ron Rivera got his foot stuck in his mouth here, Jed, and it caused a country. Even though, look, Carson Wentz deserved it because he has been terrible.
Yeah, Wentz has been really hot or cold. If you remember, he had first 2 games, he looked great, and then they were scoring a ton of points, and then all of a sudden, you saw really bad decision making, a lot of interceptions, and Wentz just kind of went south. So, I mean, in some ways, he did deserve it, but it's surprising. Well, Rivera's never been super good about watching what he says in the press. But they're playing the Bears this Thursday. Tomorrow, they're playing the Bears at Soldier Field. Actually, you have tickets, Tommy. Were you able to get rid of your tickets?
I got my tickets. Now, I did sell it. I mean, okay. Face value is $92. I did sell it for $88. So it just was not selling. It just was not selling.
Well, we'll see with the weather. Hopefully the weather will be okay. But it should be an interesting game. But I wouldn't be surprised if Wentz has a bounce back game this Thursday, especially after that little spat with his coach.
And Jed, speaking of that, Justin Fields, I'm not sure how you felt. I actually felt better about Justin Fields, even though there was a loss. He was efficient and played well. I don't care about the Bears record. I just want to see development in Justin Fields.
Yeah, agree. And I'll say this, which is that I read an article that was talking about, the offensive scheme and the offensive play calling, and basically saying, look, it's not that the coach is not doing well. It's that the players aren't executing. And actually, the Bears offense has had some interesting wrinkles and more variety than they've had in the past. And as I read that article, I felt like it was a pretty good convincing argument. And so I agree with you. It was good to see Fields looking better. It was good to see the offense looking better. The Bears have just been so traditional in their offense for so long. So to see a little bit of wrinkle was really good.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of times he was pretty efficient. 15 out of 21, 287, 208 yards, one touchdown. Look, Montgomery came back. Mooney has still continued to struggle, but you're seeing progress, and that's important for us to really be able to evaluate because next year there's a good crop of quarterbacks coming out. Is Justin Fields your future?
Yeah, and the other thing about that, I'll say the article was they talked about the Vikings. Even though the Vikings won, a lot of the defensive players said it was a difficult offense in the second half to cover. Like they basically acknowledged that they were having some problems with it. So that was another good sign. You know, anytime your opponent beats you, but basically said it was hard, that's not a bad thing.
Hey, I'm telling you, in the secondary, that Jalen Johnson is very, very good. I really like him as a player.
Yeah, they've done pretty well on the secondary, finding some pretty solid folks. So yeah, there's definitely some hope.
Speaking of another one
Mm.
last thing about quarterbacks, Dak Prescott will begin throwing for Wednesday. Hey, look, let's see if he plays on Sunday. If he struggles, they're going to be chanting for Cooper Rush to replace him.
Yeah, see, and to me, if I was the Cowboys, I just don't know why I just wouldn't start him until you are 100% sure that this guy feels good. Because to me, you can only make those moves like once, right? Like once Dak starts, if you pull him and go to Cooper Rush, it's going to be very hard to go back absent an injury, right? If it's not for an injury concern. So to me, leave Rush in there. Say essentially, hey, he's been doing good. We're going to keep rolling, and then if something goes south, you can always, go back to Dak. As long as you manage Dak's ego and he's okay with that, it feels like that's what I would want to do.
It reminds me, like we're Bears fan, back in the days when you had Russ Grossman, Shane Matthews, and Jim Miller. You were always trying to figure out which quarterback was going to start back in the days.
Yeah, exactly. It's the same kind of thing. I mean, I think psychologically they seem to have figured that out.
I think a lot of times Cooper Rush is a great backup quarterback, just like Fraught was a good quarterback. But at the same time, Dak Prescott can do unbelievable things when he's healthy, and he has shown that in the past. Look, it wasn't that long, a couple years ago before he hurt his ankle. He was throwing massive yardage.
Oh yeah, no, Dak Prescott definitely top five, no question. In some ways, it reminds me of Russell Wilson a little bit. It's like this is a guy who's been good for a long time. People just don't realize it. Doesn't always seem to get the credit, but yeah, there really shouldn't be a controversy if he is healthy. He's definitely the guy. He gives you a dimension that Rush cannot.
Yeah. Well, we talked about the Seattle running back with Rashad Penny out for the season. We talked about Mike Boone, all the other stuff, quarterbacks a lot of times. Who else are you looking at on your waiver wire this week?
The other guy I was targeting was Hayden Hurst, and I know we've talked about him and tight end. And I have Darren Waller and Kyle Pitts in almost all my leagues, and I just am benching them now. I can't drop them, but I'm benching them. I've tried trading them, have gotten nothing, and so yeah, I'm looking for tight end. So Hayden Hurst was a guy. If I can somehow get Taysom Hill, that would be amazing. I would try to do that, but I'm just looking for other tight end options right now.
Yeah. And just there's a lot of bye weeks this week. So just make sure that you are aware of all the bye weeks that are going on for this week.
Yep, exactly.
Yep. I am actually looking at the bye weeks. I do not see it, but you know what? That's okay. I'll look at it in a little bit. Man, any other thoughts? NBA, NFL, any other thoughts on your end?
No, I'm excited. We had our NBA draft on Monday. That was a crazy one. I paid through the roof for however you pronounce his name. Is it Paulo Banchero? Yeah. People were shocked. I spent $130 of my $200 limit to get him. But
you think he's gonna be that good?
Honestly, it's not. I mean, it's more about the chance for him to be that good. And also, I think what's really important is the position. He's a power forward, and there's just not that much at that position. And so, along with the fact he's playing in Orlando, he's going to have a lot of opportunity, a lot of, time. They're obviously it's to their benefit for him to do well. So there's a lot going on, and it's a keeper league. So there's a lot going for trying to get someone like that. I won last year, so I had the luxury of, I feel like my top five are pretty strong. So I didn't feel like I needed to get too many other guys.
And I heard what you and I were chatting about. We have 5 keepers. I mean, in some sense, actually, 4 keepers might be good just for us to have more players out there to draft, things like that.
Yeah, that's what I felt like during the as we were drafting. I was realizing, in football we have 5 keepers, but we have a bigger bench and we have more players who are playing. And so
Yeah.
I feel like in basketball, 4 might let the draft pool be a little bit stronger. There just weren't that many players, and when there's not that many players, what happens is then everyone spends their money on one person, and so to spread that out a little bit, it might help. But it's something to think about.
Yes, and you know what? Selfishly, I like to say no to it because remember my starting lineup: Kevin Durant, Giannis, Jokic, Curry, and Doncic. I mean, you're breaking up my starting lineup right there.
Well, and Tommy, I don't know how you didn't win last year. I think maybe because of injuries, maybe what hurt you a
Injuries.
little bit. Yeah.
Yeah.
But your team is stacked.
Yep.
Like your team is really good. So you did really well with your trade. You kind of capitalize on it being a keeper league. So when you
Yep.
play a keeper league, you have to play a little different. And like you really were setting yourself up
Yep.
for long term. And now we'll see if your moves really
Yep.
paid out. And if they do, this could be a good 2, 3, 4 year run for you. We'll see.
If you remember last year, they rested Doncic. He was out. Curry, they rested him. Durant was toward the end not playing very well. So essentially, I was being carried by Giannis and Jokic, and it just wasn't enough to beat you guys.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I'm pretty much the Atlanta Hawks this year. I'm Trey Young. I got Murray, and so now that they're together, we'll see how they play. And then I drafted John Collins, so I'm basically the Hawks. The Hawks team is basically how I'll do. So we'll see.
Okay, speaking, do you watch a lot of Atlanta Hawks?
I try to, but they're hard to get. You don't always get them on TV, but
Yeah, usually I'll do league pass as well too. But
Yeah.
in terms of the Atlanta Hawks, actually, let me just click on it real fast. I was looking at it. I really love Clint Capella. I love Clint Capella. The only thing is, at the end of the day, I went out and got Okongu because
Mm.
he was playing a lot. Toward the end, Clint Capella was not playing as much. He was averaging maybe about 18 minutes a game, and Okongu came on strong. So that's why I said, okay, if I had to pick between, I don't want 2 Atlanta Hawks. I'm picking Okongu on my team instead of Clint Capella.
Yeah, I mean that's a good bet because they've always had that player who is essentially a rebounding machine, and so if he can fill that role, that'll be really helpful. But you just got to be cautious with preseason versus regular season because it always flips sometimes. They're
Yeah.
just trying to see what he can do, and Capella has been so solid
Yeah.
for so long, so we'll just see.
Yeah, he was just frustrating me last year on my team. And I'm saying, oh my gosh. Now, another guy that I'm very excited about if you're drafting for NBA basketball, Devin Vassell over at the San Antonio Spurs. Because a lot of times with the Spurs trading DeJounte Murray, there is no one on the team. Vassell came in strong. He is projected to be the highest scorer and also the guy who will be leading the team, either him or Keldon Johnson. So I put my bets on Vassell.
Yeah, no, that's an interesting one. I actually didn't know about that. I mean, this is, again, this is the time of year you have to. I love all the rookies coming in and like all the risks. Like this is the time to do it. Is to take a chance. So we'll have to see.
Oh, yeah. When you're sitting there looking at rookies and you're sitting there, okay, who can I go? Like, for instance, the guy that I picked up was Keegan Murray over at the Sacramento Kings.
Yes.
I'm excited about Keegan Murray.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. That was a very good pickup. Exactly. That's the kind of situation because it's not just about the rookie, it's about the situation he's going into. And so if he's going into like a Sacramento, an Orlando, even San Antonio in the rebuild mode right now, there's a lot of playing time for them. And so that's the key is if you get on a team where you can get a lot of playing time, then you're going to see the stats produce, more so than others.
Jed, wait till you see my strategy for a Wembanyama next year.
Okay.
I do wonder, we have a limit of $200. If everyone bids $200, who gets them?
Yeah, well, that's the thing is I was kind of thinking about this if we need to do something ahead of time to say, if there is a $200 bet, like maybe it should be only the people who didn't make the playoffs can get him,
Or
something
if
like
it was
that.
a $200 bet, it goes to the one with the worst record.
from the previous season.
For the
Yeah.
previous season.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. So see if you can see if we can see if there's a way to make that setting,
Yeah.
because that would be fair, and I mean and also don't forget the number 2 guy. He's like amazing too.
Yeah.
So whoever gets those first 2 could be set for years in our league.
Because I will say right off the bat, I'm putting $200 on him.
Yeah, no, definitely. I would do the exact same thing, and I'm sure we're not the only 2. So we should figure that out, because he is this guy. I love LeBron James's quote. He's not a unicorn, he's an alien, and he really is. If you watch this guy, it's Kevin Durant but bigger,
Yeah,
and that is just unbelievable.
Yeah. You're going to see more players who are traditionally big men that are more fluid, nimble, could play the point, could drive, could shoot from the 3. That is the future of NBA. That is more so than baseball. NBA knows how to evolve in a very entertaining way.
Yeah. Well, you look at Chet Holmgren coming back, hopefully from injuries, kind of similar build. That's the main thing, is hopefully Wembanyama doesn't get hurt, man. That's my biggest thing, if he can stay healthy.
It was a problem like Greg Golden back in the day. He was your number 1 draft pick from Ohio State. Plotting, he was supposed to be very, very good, but foot problems continue to really hamper him.
Well, people don't realize that even though Yao Ming made the Hall of Fame, if not for his foot problems, man, that guy could have really been the greatest of all time. I mean, that guy was insanely talented.
Yep. So, Jed, thank you. I guess we're going to come back on Friday. Just me and you. Jimmy's in Nairobi this week, and he got his visa. I talked with him. One of our other team members did not get her visa, so she was stopped at O'Hare, even though she had the thing that says it was preliminary paid. They just didn't process her payment yet. They still wouldn't let her do it.
Wow. Yeah, international travel, that's tough. But yeah, we'll have to see if we can connect with Jimmy. That'd be funny to do it from Nairobi.
Yep. Thank you. We'll talk soon, Jed.
Yep. Bye.